Max Verstappen was caught in a secret meeting with Toto Wolff during Formula One's summer break, and the paddock has completely gone crazy. Images published by the Spanish site Soy Motor leave no room for doubt. The four-time world champion and the Mercedes boss were photographed together in Sardinia, accompanied by their respective partners Kelly Piquet and Susie Wolff, in what has all the appearance of a private summit far from the eyes of the paddock. And the detail that makes Red Bull tremble is that this isn't the first time it's happened. It's the second consecutive summer in which Verstappen and Wolff have been caught together at exactly the same time and in the same location. When a private meeting repeats itself identically for 2 years in a row, it stops being a coincidence and becomes a fixed appointment between two people who are clearly planning something. The circumstances of this meeting are anything but innocent. Verstappen and Wolff met in the first week of Formula One's break, just a few days after the Hungarian Grand Prix. The timing is devastating because it's right after Budapest that the exit clause in Verstappen's Red Bull contract officially activated. Verstappen is 6th in the championship with just 109 points, 110 behind leader Antonelli. The contractual condition that allows him to leave Red Bull kicked in automatically, and the first thing Verstappen does as soon as Formula One stops is meet privately with the Mercedes boss. You don't need to be a detective to understand that something big is brewing, and that this meeting had a very specific purpose. Subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments if you believe Verstappen is really negotiating with Wolff behind Red Bull's back. But there's a second element to this story that makes everything even more mysterious and suspicious. Verstappen's private jet was tracked by aviation enthusiasts, and the flight data reveals a route that no one has managed to explain convincingly. After departing from Nice and stopping in Sardinia where he met Wolff, the plane landed in Salzburg, the city where Red Bull is headquartered. The flight took place just 2 days after the Hungarian Grand Prix. No one officially knows who was on board or the reason for the visit to the Austrian team's headquarters. Think about what this means in practice. Verstappen secretly meets the Mercedes boss in Sardinia, and immediately afterward his private plane lands in Red Bull's city. Either he was going to tell management that he received a concrete offer from Mercedes, or he was playing on 2 tables at once to maximize his negotiating position. Either way, Red Bull should be terrified. The sporting context makes the situation even more explosive than it seems on the surface. Verstappen is going through the most frustrating season of his recent career with Red Bull. The RB22 has been described by the driver himself as impossible to drive and completely broken from an aerodynamic standpoint. The second-place finish in Budapest was met with total disbelief. Verstappen said after the race that he didn't understand how it was possible to have reached the podium with that car. Laurent Mekies has publicly admitted that the team failed to give its drivers a competitive car throughout the entire Hungarian weekend. Pierre Wache, the technical director, is under intense internal pressure over the unresolved rear-wing problems. And the FIA has denied Red Bull access to the ADUO engine development program, blocking any possibility of improving the power unit. Verstappen finds himself trapped in a team that can't improve its engine due to the federation's decision and doesn't know how to fix its chassis problems. It's the perfect storm for a split. Hit like now, because what comes next is the political heart of this whole saga and completely changes the perspective. Red Bull knows it's in danger and has responded by putting a contract proposal on the table that reveals just how desperate the internal situation is. According to the German newspaper Bild, the Austrian team has offered Verstappen a contract extension through the end of 2029, 1 year beyond the current 2028 expiration, with a significant increase to his base salary, which already sits around 65 million euros per season. But the central point of the proposal isn't the money. Red Bull wants to completely eliminate the performance exit clause from the new deal. They want Verstappen to give up his only contractual weapon, his only way out, in exchange for a longer and richer contract. Bild denied the rumors that Red Bull tried to buy out the clause with a direct payment of 9 million euros. The strategy is different. They want Verstappen himself to sign the waiver voluntarily. But Verstappen isn't signing anything, and this prolonged silence is the most powerful and worrying signal of all for Red Bull. The complete proposal has been in the hands of the driver and his management staff for several weeks now, and there has still been no official response from the Dutch champion, neither positive nor negative. Just a deafening silence that speaks louder than any statement. His manager Raymond Vermeulen has stated in the past that the Verstappen camp's wish would be to continue with Red Bull, and that Max would ideally like to close out his extraordinary career with this team, but only and exclusively as long as there's a real and concrete chance to fight for wins and world championships. And right now, Red Bull is only fourth in the Constructors' Championship, over 200 points behind a dominant Mercedes. With a structurally fragile car and an engine, the FIA won't let them develop any further. The concrete possibility of winning a championship with this team simply doesn't exist in the current situation. And Verstappen knows this better than anyone because he's the one who has to fight every Sunday with a car that doesn't respond to his commands. Mark Mateschitz, Red Bull's co-owner, and sporting director Oliver Mintzlaff are increasingly impatient and deeply frustrated by the situation that has developed. The contractual uncertainty has been dragging on for weeks without any visible progress and is corroding internal relationships within the team at every level. Management desperately needs a definitive answer before the end of the summer break in order to plan the team's technical and sporting future for the coming seasons. But Verstappen has no intention of speeding up the negotiation timeline. He's waiting with strategic patience. He's watching how the other teams move. He's weighing every single option available on the market with the icy calm of a champion who knows perfectly well that he holds the upper hand. Because without him, Red Bull loses its one true competitive advantage. And the big question the whole paddock is asking is this: if Mercedes has officially closed the door by declaring that Russell and Antonelli will be the pairing for 2027 as well, why does Toto Wolff spend his vacation with Verstappen for the second consecutive year? Why do they arrange private meetings away from the official cameras? Why does Verstappen agree to be seen with the boss of a rival team, knowing that sooner or later someone will photograph them? There are only two possible explanations. Either it's a deliberate strategy by Verstappen to put pressure on Red Bull by making it seem like he's negotiating with Mercedes, or the door to Mercedes isn't closed at all as Wolff wants people to believe, and the public statements only serve to buy time while the most sensational market move in the last 20 years of Formula One is being prepared. McLaren remains in the background as a concrete and dangerous alternative for Red Bull. It has the fastest car on the grid after the impressive upgrades brought to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Norris was the fastest driver in Hungary, and the Woking-based team is climbing the constructors' standings on a trajectory that scares every rival. But in the paddock, the dominant feeling is that McLaren isn't the true destination in Verstappen's heart. All eyes in the industry are fixed on Mercedes and on that private meeting in Sardinia, which reveals far more than any official press release or diplomatic statement in front of the cameras. The definitive answer about Max Verstappen's future will arrive before the October deadline. The coming weeks of this summer break will be absolutely decisive for the future of Formula One and for the shape of the 2027 grid. Every day that passes without a signature is one more day in which Red Bull trembles and Mercedes smiles. Stay on this channel, because when the most explosive bomb in recent Formula One driver market history drops, you'll be the very first to know.